Okay. 2025 business planning. All right, let's talk about it. So in 2025, I want you to engage in the dreaded the dreaded 6-letter word. You ready? You probably already know what it is. I want you to create for yourself a business budget. All right. And the reason why you want to create a business budget is because you want to be able to have the money to do what you need it for, to be able to invest in your business and different things. Like, I'm sure you are tired of running your business on a razor's edge, right? Aren't you sick of running your business on a razor's edge?
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
There's two kinds of budgets that, in particular, that I like to use with my clients. I find it more effective, and they're the most useful. The first kind of budget that I endorse is zero-based budgeting. All right. The second kind of budget that I endorse is operational based budgeting. All right. So what's the difference between zero-based budgeting and operational-based budgeting? All right. Sorry for the serial killer writing.
Hi.
Okay.
The first difference is zero-based budgeting is where you have to justify your expenses every single year. So basically, at the beginning of the year, the score for your budget is 0 to 0. And what you want to do when you have this budget is you zero everything out. And every single line, every single expense that you're adding to your business, you basically have to justify. Should I have this? Should I not have this? Should I have this? Should I not have this? And then you slowly build your budget that way. Why is it not? I'll start with it. Why is it not the best? It's not the best because it can be very comprehensive, take a lot of time, and require a lot of patience because you have to literally go through and justify everything. On the flip side, why is it good? It's good because you have to go through absolutely everything and justify everything. So in order for it to end up on the budget, for it to make sense for you, you have to actually put it in by justifying it. That's one of the reasons why zero-based budgeting is effective, is because when it lands on the budget, it means that there is an actual justification. It is not just waste. It's not just business waste. All right. That's one thing about zero-based budgeting. The second thing about zero-based budgeting is it requires some mental energy. And the reason why is because you have to literally think about everything that your business or what specifically your business is going to be spending money on. And then if you're justifying it, you have to be able to tell the story about it, right? You should be able to explain away why you need this thing, right? And typically justifications require energy, but at the end, it means that most of the stuff that ends up on there is going to be actually a lot better for you. And actually, it's going to be useful to you. You wouldn't have wasted money. The third reason why I like zero-based budgeting is because it keeps a tight rein on spending. And yes, no doubt when you do zero-based budgeting, you're going to allocate some of your resources for places where your arrow misses the mark, right? You're aiming for this kind of budget and then you might go over it slightly still, but in zero-based budgeting, you're going to build in a justification for having like a 10% contingency to ensure that you can actually land the plane how you want to land it, right? Like so, but that's actually usually pretty planned. But it does help you to rein in extraneous spending, so that you're not just like, okay, it's June and we want to increase our marketing budget. No, marketing has already been accounted for, and you've built it in. All right, so that's zero-based budgeting in a nutshell.
A few moments later.
Operational-based budgeting is essentially looking back at the previous year's operations-based budget, how the operation performed, and increasing your budget correspondingly. So let's say that your budget for last year was, let's call it $70,000. Okay, that was your budget for last year for your business, for expenses, operations expenses, payroll, whatever the case is. This year, because you anticipate there's going to be an increase in spend and customer acquisition that's going to have to be serviced, you may have to hire another VA, whatever the case is, you're going to increase that budget, like as a rule, a percentage or a flat rate. And so let's say that we increase your budget by 5% this next year, right? So that means that you're adding another $3,500 to your budget. And so your new budget for this year is going to go up from 7,000 to 7,300 and $73,000, $500. I told you I'm tired. All right. And so operational based budget, you take a peek at your previous year's operations budget, and then you just ascribe a percentage of increase to that budget to capture what business looks like in the new year. It doesn't have to be as low as 5%. It can be 20, it could be 40, whatever the case is. But you have to, again, you want to be reasonable when you increase your budget. You don't want to just increase it wholesale. You want to take a look at the cost of doing business. If you're a manufacturer, you have to take a look at the raw materials and how much those went up over last year. You want to take a look at marketing cost. Does the cost for you to service your clients has not gone up in the past year because of inflation or whatever the case is? Take a look at where we are in the stream of time and then make the adjustment to your budget accordingly. Now, why is operational based budget good? Well, number one is that it provides you with a preset, stable platform to work with. It provides you essentially with the floor of a budget, right? You don't have to make it up every single year. And you don't have to justify it necessarily because it's already been justified, because you already used it the previous year. Now, the second reason why I like operational based budgeting is because it's based off of something tangible and real. You have already operated your business the previous year. I can't even spell. You've already operated your business the previous year, and you know how much it costs you to run your business. Therefore, you're just taking what you had last year and then you're just increasing it with the expectation of goods and services, the cost of delivery, the cost of services, or raw materials going up. So it's tangible. It's extremely tangible, and it's one of the ways where you'll be able to have like a really good educated guess as to what you're going to be spending the previous year. Another reason why I like operational based budgeting is because it relies on empirical operations metrics, meaning that you have these metrics that you've used in your operations, whether it's on the sales side, the human resource side, the legal side, whatever. And with operations-based budgets, there's metrics associated with it, KPIs, OKRs, goals that you've measured over a time period. And so when you have those metrics or those ways to measure the success of an operation and you apply it to a business, and you rely on this type of budgeting for your business, what ends up happening is that that you've measured it, and now these numbers are going to be actually pretty close to accurate. So in my opinion, it relies on an operations budget that was already measured for the previous 12 months. So zero-based budgeting, operational-based budgeting are the two budgets that I use. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, Micah, but who would you use zero-based budgeting with? Who would you use operational-based budgeting with?
I got you, homie.
And the answer is very simple. If I have a client who is struggling with cash flow management, I would use zero-based budgeting. Why? Because it requires them to strip away everything every single year until they get a hold on their ability to budget, and put it back into their budget, right? It forces them to confront what they're spending a lot more than operational based budget is. And with operational based budgeting, you want to be careful that you're not hiding costs inside of a department or hiding costs inside of a line item that you believe is justified that may not be. So in my opinion, zero-based budgeting is great for people who have a hard time actually budgeting. Operational-based budgeting is really good for clients of mine who are really good at measuring where they are in snapshots in the stream of time. And typically that is when they have established KPIs. Until you establish KPIs, in my opinion, you want to be doing zero-based budgeting. Once you have ways to measure your operations on a regular basis, then you should be doing operations-based budgeting. Switch that, because the bigger your business gets, the harder it is to kind of zero out the budgeting and kind of build from there. Although there are some really, really big companies that actually do that every single year, and they do justify it, and that's important. So those are the two tips I wanted to give you to kind of start 2025. I know you want to choose a path in terms of your budgeting. You want to attack it and you want to actually use it. So don't go into 2025 this year without a budget, number one. And number two, don't go into 2025 without a plan for how you're going to deal with cash flow, the cash flow of your business. I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and again and expecting a different result. If you've never budgeted in your business before, you might need something like this to actually help you out to reach the next level. And as a business owner, you want to be learning something every day. You want to be implementing something every day. And why not right now when you've only had a month, because it's February, right? To do something like this where you can actually leverage your knowledge of budgeting in this way. And then you can establish for yourself a consistent way of actually managing your cash flow. Cash in business is precious, so you want to protect it as best you can.